Folks, good morning. Welcome to Swing Trading today. This is Bob Desmond, and it is 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the 27th of August. In a little while, we're going to have initial jobless claims come out, and it's a double-edged sword. There's an expectation of 1 million initial jobless claims for last week. I think that if we come out with a 9 handle, meaning 900,000 or so initial jobless claims, the market's going to continue up higher because the number's bad enough to keep rates low, but that'll keep the stock market up because nobody's worried about interest rates getting raised. However, if you come out with a big beat and things are looking a little bit too good, yields rise, and then everybody gets worried. The Federal Reserve is going to pull back, yada, yada, yada. They're not. So, big number today. GDP, I think this is a revision number that's coming out at 8:30. And Jackson Hole, you have Fed Chair doing his virtual Jackson Hole speech at 9:10. So, chock full of eco data today. Very market moving. One thing I want to point out is that yesterday we saw a bit of a concern. Before I go to that, let's talk first about, I'll tease with that, yields. And yields on a weekly basis, we've been tracking this very closely. This is the 10-year yield, weekly basis. And tonight I'm going to be doing Thursday night stock charts live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be going over this chart again, as well as the other charts I'm about to go over, but on a weekly basis. This is a weekly chart. The other charts are not on a weekly basis I'll go over, but we'll be going over those charts on a weekly basis to see how we're poised to close out the month. So, if you subscribe using the notification bell, don't rely upon it on YouTube. Sometimes you get knocked off. It's happened to me at least twice so far with people saying, hey, I never got notified that you're going live. There's a link below in the description area. Enter your email address. We hate spam too. You'll get alerted by email 15 minutes to a half hour prior to us going live tonight. That being said, again, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us. We have a breakout on a weekly basis on the yield, 10-year yield. This is a huge move. You're not hearing much play about it, but it's significant. Now, RSI, weekly basis, continues to press higher. Stokes rising. Now, there's 2 full trading days left to go in the week. A lot can happen here. So let's just go into the back half of the week, appreciating the fact that yields are on the rise. At current, all things being unchanged by Friday afternoon, 4 p.m., we will have a breakout on the 10-year yield weekly basis. You need to start thinking about, what am I long of that is interest rate sensitive to the negative or to the positive? The banks generally do well in a rising interest rate environment. You want to load up on the banks. Maybe you want to lighten up on technology because their margins get squeezed. So keep this in mind. Higher lows, breakout weekly basis, 2 trading days left to go. 2 charts I want to talk about before we go into the pre-market futures. The VIX, we closed up yesterday. Why is that significant? Well, we're not supposed to close up. Why? Because the S&P 500 closed up big, too. We had a bullish key reversal yesterday on the VIX. Whenever we see this is not as if it doesn't happen every once in a while. Usually when you see it, it doesn't end well. Something is amiss. Something's going on. You have institutions buying up stocks, yet they're also buying insurance. They're hedging. So VIX was up along with, let's just bring up the spiders. The spiders. This is the price action yesterday. This is the pre-market activity today. So here's yesterday's price action. Strong candlestick, very powerful, yet the VIX was up too. Be careful. All right, let's go to the pre-market futures. Let's see what's going on. Let's begin with the NASDAQ 100, down a little over a quarter percentage point. This is not a 4-hour chart. I generally like the 4-hour chart. All right, so despite my concerns on a daily basis, it looks as though all we're doing here is trading sideways. We'll see how we react to the economic data, but in all probability, we're going to continue up higher here, at least in the short term. But I do believe there's going to be a correction. However shallow it may be, I don't believe it's going to be a collapse. I think we're going to rally into the election. However, I think we're going to get a pullback for a week or so in the next several days, early September. So NASDAQ down about a quarter percentage point, consolidating nicely. I see no serious concerns here. The Russell 2000 also down a quarter percentage point. It hasn't had a good week, struggling quite a bit. We are holding on to the lower band support, 4-hour chart. Let's update this. This is now resistance. It should have been support back here, but it failed. Not once, but twice. Good morning, Oliver. Amerimigo. There's talk going around about a possible market sell-off very soon. Yeah, I'm in that camp. I think that breadth is not good. The NASDAQ 100 is completely, it's just becoming more and more overbought. You saw Salesforce.com skyrocket up higher yesterday. We went short yesterday afternoon, Salesforce.com. We went short at 271. Is this accurate? 267? Let me just validate that because we weakened up some. Yeah, we're weakening up here. So I may be even looking to scalp a profit before the market opens if we weaken up even further. But they rallied it right up and through the third standard deviation Bollinger Band, closing out the day yesterday with RSI at around 85, 86. A bit ridiculous. So we're probably going to book profits here this morning on weakness. But overall, I mean, you take a look at the trip cues. I don't have a 2 standard deviation Bollinger Band up. I'm using a 3 standard deviation. Here, let's go to my other. Here we go. Morning, Robert. Here, so you can see that we're trading well above the 2 standard deviation Bollinger Band in green. Does that mean you go shorting at will? No. It just means that, you know, if you look back in past history, we're not going to stay here, not for very long. So we are building a short position, nibble, 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 and we are short of Salesforce.com, another name we're looking to short. I ran a scan last night. I'll run through it with you. Hopefully you're interested. I have this saved, 3 standard. Okay, 3 standard, okay. All right, so I'm just scanning right now for candlesticks that are trading above the 3rd standard deviation Bollinger Band. And you can see that CRM came up yesterday. That's pulling back now. Facebook came up yesterday. It's not as, or wasn't as overbought as CRM. Netflix is a candidate. So hopefully they rallied even further. I want them to go to unsustainable levels, and then we short into them. So this is a really good scan that I've been using, coming up with some really good stocks. This is TrendSpider. There's a link below, 35% off, the lowest price on the web. Okay, let's go back to the pre-market activity. CRM continues to weaken up. That's good for us. Let's go to, what's the dollar doing? They're trying to rally the dollar. Longer term, it's probably not going to hold. But for whatever reason, they're trying to rally the dollar this week. Let's see what impact a rising dollar is having on gold. We're going to be looking to add to our gold mining trade. We began adding earlier in the week. And yesterday's price action was really, really nice on gold, silver as well. All right, so we're pulling back right to support, exactly what we wanted to see. So we broke out, now we're pulling back. So what they're going to do right now is they're going to retest either one or both of these support levels. And that's the test that we'll be looking for. If it holds and we continue or we begin to break out yet again on gold, and we're assuming the miners are going to do the same thing, well then we'll be looking to add to our gold mining trade. Same thing holds true for silver. Let's bring that up. Silver's down over a third of a percentage point this morning. We may get a continuation pullback here. I would prefer to see it, to be honest with you. We're long of silver. Before I add more, I'd really like to see a retest of what was resistance here in yellow should now act as support. Then we see a move out of that base. That's a great risk-reward way of trading silver. It's very volatile. So silver looking good, gold looking good. Let's check out yields. You know, before we go to yields, let's check out the VIX. The VIX is down. What's the S&P doing? And the S&P is down. I think that they rally the S&P 500. Bonds. Wow. Big move up higher this morning on bonds. That means yields are pulling back. Remember that weekly chart I just showed you of bond yields. And this is why I always like to say 1 trading day left to go, 2 trading days left to go, because it's not in the books yet. While we're having a breakout as of yesterday's close on a weekly basis on the 10-year yield, the week is not over yet. So right now, that breakout is under threat. So you want to hold off on the banks. You don't want to go buying the banks. Wait and see how the week closes out. Maybe technology is going to continue up higher for the short term anyway. Interesting move on bonds. I just want to go over a couple of ag names. Oats, they're moving up higher. You're seeing inflation in agriculture. Soybeans, big move on soybeans. This is no joke. Soybeans are getting ready for a major breakout. We have a higher low. And these are our resistance levels. And we're breaking out through them, one at least, on a weekly basis. So we're watching right now the DBA Agriculture Fund. But I'd like to see that either break out or pull back or both before we go buying. So we have higher lows, and we're beginning to threaten to break out to new higher highs on soybeans. Corn. This is a weekly chart as well, folks. This is no joke. The Federal Reserve is going to tell you there's no inflation. We're waiting for inflation. Inflation's here. We've already broken out on a weekly basis. Have you seen housing prices? Biggest jump in over a decade. There's no inflation. Not gas. I guess there's no inflation here either, right? We're breaking out to new, forget about putting in higher lows. Now we have higher highs on that gas. I guess we don't have inflation at the energy level with people out of jobs. This is not good. So this, if you're wondering why we're loading up and have been loading up on gold, silver, agriculture names, this is why. Inflation, preservation of capital, lumber. Look at lumber. There's no inflation. This is a weekly chart, folks. This is no joke. What bond chart are you looking at? I'm looking at the 10-year Treasury note. And you can see we're breaking out on the week. So if we're rallying on this chart, that means the value of the bond is moving up higher, the yield is moving down lower. All right, let's take some requests. I have a couple to go over from members. Let me get in there. Let's exit out of here. What do we have? iRobot. IRBT. I haven't looked at this one in a while. So we'll do as we normally do. We pull back to a monthly chart to identify where a stock has been, to determine where it might be going. I don't like the price action here at all. We have lower highs and lower lows. You can see that right where we had support back here in December of 18, and prior to that, October of 18, is now acting as resistance. So by that observation alone, I couldn't open up a long position here. And if we fade on the month, the shares could quite very well become a short. Stokes look okay. RSI, nah. Let's go to a weekly chart. On a weekly basis, it shows that we're struggling to hold support. Let's do this. I'm going to move this up. I'd be interested if we recaptured this support level. I don't care about sensitivity. 30-minute chart. IRB. This is not a chart I'm overly excited about getting involved with, so I'm just going to keep this active for a few days. Break through, done, and that's it. If we fade on the week or on the month and we close down below 69.66, shares become short. I'd be very, very careful here. A lot of overhead supply above. A lot of sellers looking to get made whole. Rising wedge formation, ascending wedge formation, whatever you want to call it. I'd be concerned about a break. Now, if we recapture the support level and we hold there for a few days, then it becomes interesting. Not overly bullish, but if we break this lower band of support here, IRBT is in a lot of trouble. Let's see. PSQ, you got it, Maramigo. FSM, you got it, Oliver. Let me just go over Fizz. This was on our watch list a while ago. Yeah, it never came to us. It just took off. This is a stock. I shorted this stock a long time ago. It was as a matter of fact, let's go back to it. And it was it was a life lesson I learned. This company is very, very, it was back here. What was RSI back here? No, that wasn't it. I won't waste your time. But it had RSI like 95. It was ridiculous. I figured money in the bank. So I went shorting it. I said, it wasn't 95. It was above 90. I went and I opened up a short position. And stock kept going up higher. It was impossible to knock the thing down. And so I finally went into the statistics on Yahoo Finance. And I took a look at the number of shares held or that were freely traded, and it was very few. Most of the shares are held very tightly by the principal, the owner, and it made it very, very difficult to knock the stock down because he wasn't selling. So I had to get very big on that trade. I took on way too much risk. We eventually made money on it, but not enough to take on the risk. So I would not be a shorter of the stock ever, ever again. Can it go up higher? Sure. Is it overbought? Closed out the day near the highs of the day, probably above the 2 standard deviation, but it can go higher. RSI below 80. So I know from past experience that this thing can get ridiculously overbought. I think that the shares go higher. And you can see that it broke out of a nice base. Broke out back in May. I can't believe it's been May already. Pulled back, retested, broke out, and the rest is history. Would I initiate a new trade? No. But if I were long, I would hold on for the ride. I think it's going up higher. Weekly chart. Still good looking. Ignore this. This is from an old analysis that I did. Completely outdated. The chart still looks good. It goes up. All right, let's take some from the audience, and then I'm going to log off. Again with the echo, huh? Morning, Pat. Does that help? I may have to get a new microphone. This is a fairly new one, too. FSM. Fortuna Mines. Oh, we went over this a little while ago. Yeah. The voice is not in sync with the video? Saying I have a good connection. I'm getting a warning as well. I don't. Maybe I have too many windows open. All right. There's not much I can do about it right now. Sorry if there's a sync issue. Is the echo gone anyway? All right, I'm going to continue here. Fortuna Mines, monthly chart. Rallied off the lows of the month, off the highs of the month. We did get extended here. I think the best thing that can happen to Fortuna is it trades sideways into September, consolidates. Yeah, this is nice. Nah, I'll be back at 5 a.m. I have a lot of things going on right now. As a matter of fact, I had an interview last night with, I'll be on Trading Pit. That's TrendSpider's new show. I did that last night. And I thought they were going to release it on Labor Day. It's pre-recorded. But apparently they're going to release it on in 3 weeks. I don't know what's happening in 3 weeks. But they're doing a huge 5-hour-long program with traders that they've selected to join in and share how they look at the markets. So it was a lot of fun. It was a good time. And they have a production crew now. It's really, they've gone high level. Okay. FSM daily chart. We broke out yesterday. Higher lows. Now what we're looking for here is a higher high. We do have resistance right above. We hit it yesterday, backed off. Higher lows on Stokes. Higher lows RSI, no breakout yet. Really quick, I want to go check out CRM. See what that's doing, because I may just close that out. All right, let's see if it's got a little bit more downside to go. All right, so Fortuna looking good. I like it. Ideally, you get a pullback and a retest of support today. We'll keep that active for a few days. And then I would add more on a breakout. I have an alert set up here, but there's another resistance level right here above this volume shelf. That is a nice entry point as well. And that's at around $6.88. So it's a good looking chart. I think longer term, it's going up higher. You're welcome, Oliver. What was the other one? PSQ. I think what it may be, Pat, is that I may have too many windows open and maybe taking up some of the bandwidth. Just a thought. I'm not sure. Does that happen often or just like the first time? PSQ. What are we doing here? Let me just refresh this. Oh, it's a short process. I saw triple Qs. I'm like, why is this not adding up? Okay, so PSQ puts you short of the Qs. Gotcha. Now I understand. Okay. Well, so here's my take on the Qs. I went over this earlier. That's why I have this chart up. The Qs are becoming extended. We have a not a huge short position, but we have a hedge on the Qs because I think that we're probably going to pull back within the next few days. So while I think there's a trade to be had here, you have your Stokes very oversold and overbought on the Qs. I would not go aggressively buying these shares just yet because as it stands right now, the Qs are in fuego. They're on fire. And the path of least resistance remains higher until it doesn't, right? We know from past history that I'd rather talk about the Qs and how they look rather than the PSQ because the PSQ is going to react, if it's a healthy ETF, it's going to react inversely of the triple Qs. So I want to pay attention to not the derivative. I want to pay attention to the underlying. And the underlying is the triple Qs. So we have a chart here that remains very strong. We have certain segments of that index which are very overbought. Facebook, 81.41. It's trading above its third standard deviation Bollinger Band on a daily basis. This is not going to last. Microsoft, huge mover yesterday. But take a look at Microsoft. This is the largest component of the triple Qs. I go over this all the time. Whenever I talk about Microsoft, I can't not talk about this. Quarterly basis. We have one more month left in this quarter. We have RSI at 92.89 on Microsoft. You want to take a look at it on a yearly basis. 93.80. This is Microsoft. And we're trading above the third standard deviation Bollinger Band for the fourth year in a row. So what does this mean very short term? Not much. What it does mean, though, is that when this market goes, or the trip Qs go, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be, this is a bubble. This is a bubble. But that doesn't mean it can't go up higher. So I would be very, very cautious about shorting, especially with all the liquidity out there, shorting the market aggressively right now. I think there's a trade to be had with the PSQ short term, but you want to be in, you want to get out. Get ready for a rally into election day. RSI monthly basis, 86.78. Let's go to a weekly basis. I mean, I think you're getting the theme here. This is the largest component of the Qs. Not as overbought on a weekly basis. But it's a healthy chart. I would not be overly aggressive shorting this market quite yet because I think that we're setting up for a short-term swing trade to the short side. Then we're going to recover and we're going up higher into election day. That's my take. Oh, really? Jobless claims came in over 1 million. Look what they're doing to CRM. They're going to bid it up. What is the S&P 500 doing? And they're rallying the market. I'll tell you, this market is unwell. Well, keep in mind that you have a lot of people that were furloughed, and they're simply not having them come back to work, and that's the sad part. So they've been out for a while now, And I don't know whether or not that would skew the initial jobless claims or not. I'm not that well versed on it, to be honest with you. It's crazy. I feel horrible for people. Terrible. I'm sure everybody does. Let's take a look at the Russell. It rallied, but it faded. Let's take a look at gold. Gold has weakened up a bit. Strange why gold would weaken up. What are bonds doing? Bonds are still strong. Yields are weak. That should be good for gold. The dollar's holding gains for whatever reason. I'm not sure why gold is lightening up. It doesn't make sense. I got to take a look at that data a little bit closer. There's something up in the data. Yeah, nat gas is ripping, Pat. I mean, I went over it earlier. I'll go over it again really quick. Here is nat gas. Pat just mentioned that UNG is up. And you take a look at it on a weekly basis. I mean, this is a monster breakout. So nat gas looking really good. Bitcoin getting hit over 1.5%. All right, with that, folks, I'm going to say, please smash the like button. Again, the notification bell when I go live is not working all the time for whatever reason. I've been told it's because YouTube does updates, nothing nefarious, and it just knocks people off the notification bell. So click the notification bell, but to be sure, you get contacted for Thursday night Stock Charts Live, which is tonight, and Sunday night Futures Live. There's an email link below. Get alerted 15 minutes prior to me going live, and join us tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And everybody have a profitable trading day. If you could smash that like button, I'd appreciate it. Oh, you got it. Good. Good. I've been getting some feedback that not everybody's getting the notifications. So I'll definitely send out the emails just in case the notifications don't get to you. All right? And be well, folks. I know, Oliver. Another Thursday. They go flying by. It's crazy. Have a profitable day, all.